making this thing happen.
We're live.
Live on YouTube on the 1 Million Fit first live cast here on a Spartacus Saturday, jamming to some cheesy podcast tunes and getting you guys a little fired up, a little motivated, talking about time today. Time being our ultimate disposable asset. And how are we going to dive into time, take control of our time, reduce our stress, increase our level of discipline, and quite frankly, just live more on purpose and on task. So we're going to start it off with a brief story. And recently, I lost my 19-year-old dog, Maverick. Okay, so 19, heck of a run. Loyalty, love, everything. Hopefully he's across the rainbow bridge at this point, and I'll see him again. But anytime you go through a loss, and in this case it was my dog, I think you start to evaluate your time. And sometimes, unfortunately, it takes an event like that to get us to evaluate our time. But maybe that's one of the hidden blessings to loss in certain circumstances. But it did get me thinking about time, how I'm personally spending my time, and then how the legions of 1 Million Fit are spending their time. Called Bob up and we had a little conversation about it. And it's never fun to go through something like that. I think any loss, everybody processes grief in a different way, but there's definitely opportunity to take some lessons learned away from Mav, the Mer puppy, the glorious warrior that was Maverick. And that's kind of how I want to frame this conversation. So it doesn't have to be overly depressing. This is not the point of this cast. It's actually to give you guys tools for fitness, for mental health, mental fitness, financial fitness, spiritual fitness. That's kind of the aim of and the objective of what we're doing here. But let's talk a little bit about time, Bob.
Yeah, Bob.
So, let's start with morning, okay? We wake up. What are we doing, Bob? What do we got?
Yeah, Bob. Pretty much, I like to start my morning personally and more of kind of a gratitude thing. Like, when you wake up and you're like, you open up your eyes and you're like, another one, and just having the life experience of knowing how important your frame of mind is. It's a big piece for me. So I always start the morning, what am I grateful for? And go through that list.
Now, are you writing that down? Is that something you're doing? You're getting up, it's a thought process? Or is that something you have like a gratitude, written kind of ritual?
So that's just my mental reflection.
Okay.
So I'll go into an area of the house or outside where I can just have about 5 minutes, and I just think about sometimes it's different every day. Like, I'm grateful I can walk. I'm grateful, that I'm here right now. I'm grateful for my kids. I'm grateful for all my friends. And I'll just kind of play it through my head mentally, because I know the power of positivity, But what I do write down is everything I see my life becoming by being positive,
Okay.
right? And that's where, for me personally, it's none of us know when our ticket's getting punched. So, look at your life and find one thing that you want to achieve that day, no matter what it is. And you and I have talked, this grows into looking at several different things, right? So like when you're an entrepreneur, you might have 2 or 3 businesses. You can't just focus on one business all the time. You've got to say, okay, here's my objective. I'm going to get one thing done with all my companies, and then that's a successful day. And the consistency with that then breeds the success.
Well, and there's a trap in it too, right? So you can become so busy that you don't really manage your time. Your time only manages you. Right. So like you can, and I think a lot of people are like that. I think a lot of people have a ton of stuff on their plate And I think a lot of the legions, they're generally, if they're probably tuning into the 1 million fit stuff, they're already on a certain path of like trying to become a little bit more optimal, trying to become more positive, maybe trying to add better habits to their daily routines or whatever it may be. And adding too many things to your battle plan, you're going to absolutely deviate your focus.
Right.
I think it creates more stress and almost like a if you're not super dialed in the discipline, and to your point, maybe one thing per area that you want to improve,
Exactly.
then it can become a little bit challenging. So thinking about like our standard, human out there that's tuning in, that's going to get a little fired up. I think there's a couple pieces to that, right? Of time discipline. If you're spending time in these areas, you're probably going to have a more happy or successful life you want. You got to have some time in the gratitude space. I would argue that's a spiritual space, and for those of you in the legions that are ready to go there, awesome, you're on a good path. If you're not ready to go there yet, that's fine. Gratitude could be a version of that,
Right.
and that's going to give you a little bit in that bucket. I think you got to look at your physical fitness space, right? You gotta have a little bit of time in that bucket. It's probably going to be beneficial. That could include a walk. It could include a little bit more of a workout. Maybe it's some strength training or some type of sport or recreational game you like to play. I think you got to look at maybe a little bit of time in the financial piece.
Yeah.
That could simply just be pulling up your bank account. That may be slightly stressful right now, but if you focus on that and you have a little bit of time on that, you can start to build that up a little bit to where you want it to be. So we got the financials, we got the fitness, we've got the gratitude, which goes into the mental fitness game.
Right.
Your positivity, your spirituality. So I think that's all good stuff to do. When you're in your morning routine. So you like to start with gratitude. That's kind of your go-to.
Absolutely.
After gratitude, what's the next phase?
Then we get into the go phase.
Go phase.
So
Now we're-
movement.
Okay.
Right. So
Gratitude and then go.
Yeah,
I like
gratitude
it. Is there
and
like
go.
some G's in here?
Yeah,
A
we
bunch
got
of
some
G's. Okay,
G's, yeah.
bunch of G's. All right, so we got gratitude and then we're going. What are we doing in go phase?
So go phase is either a workout, a ruck, something where it's gonna be you kind of black out, right? Is how I like to put it. You don't think, you just do.
Okay.
And that's my go phase. So it's centered around some type of fitness, exercise. And then the third G is grow.
Okay.
Right. So it's gratitude, go, grow. And that's where I look at, kind of stressors for me. So it might be pulling up my spreadsheet, looking at financials, knowing some things are coming down the line. It could be, reading something that's going to help put me in a better mindset. It could be journaling. It could be reaching out to a friend. It could be networking on LinkedIn or, other forms of social media. But it's some type of growing phase. So in self-improvement, something that's gonna, prepare me, I guess.
So gratitude, grow, and
Go.
gratitude, go, and grow.
Yeah.
Simple. That's a simple solution for the legions out there to take and put into immediate action and start to maybe modify some things. So providing tools is just that. Just having a conversation about it, providing some tools, understanding that time, I think, is the greatest stressor. When people are not spending time on the things that they know they should be spending time on, I believe that's going to add stress, whether it's acutely or down the road. If you're not spending time in the areas that you should be spending time on, then, eventually you're going to have a stress level about that. So whatever that may be. So if you are spending time on things that you should be doing, then you're probably not as stressed, I'm assuming. You're probably moving those missions forward to a certain extent. They may not be perfect, but you're moving things in a positive direction. You're feeling better about it. You're doing things that you should be doing, and you're not getting distracted and undisciplined due to time distractions. Okay, one of the biggest ones being social media, and we were doing these casts on Facebook They modified their terms, so it's a 30-day hold now, where it's not a permanent video. So we moved over to YouTube so we can kind of catalog these conversations, because we've had a lot of people kind of reporting back in that they're making positive changes, which is awesome. So when I think about this, and when we train clients, or we're coaching and consulting business owners, or we're talking to each other, these are things that we try to focus on. Okay, we don't want to waste time. And if you find yourself scrolling, you'd be amazed at how much different it's going to be if you drop your phone and you pick up a book and you're reading something that's going to be, beneficial for you. That doesn't have to be self-improvement books, and it doesn't have to necessarily be the Bible. You can get a lot of great creativity from, fiction-based books, and just doing something outside of being influenced and drawn into negativity, which can be the social media space sometimes.
Right.
This is an area that's going to be a lot different than that. We're looking at helping people move forward, finding that positivity, providing some levels of motivation, getting you fired up, getting you committed to moving in a positive direction. This is not a space for perfection. Not looking for it. The whole concept of 1 million fit is the tagline behind it is you are not alone. So we're trying to bring some of these tools, tactics, techniques to put into your toolbox so that you have more positive things to focus on, and you have the ability to just crush life, essentially.
Bob, are we offering out challenges for anybody out there?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's the ultimate thing is you can sit back and watch every YouTube video and every podcast and listen to everything. The challenge would be to actively understand, starting with your morning routine. Let's break it down to just your morning routine. What does that include? Does that include a gratitude, a go, and a grow? Does that include maybe, in our family, devotionals are pretty popular. We've got people that, even the kids are getting down the devotional game like that.
Yeah.
We like getting a little bit of the big guy on your side.
Absolutely.
So, is it a devotional? Is it, there's a thing called the 1 minute gratitude journal that you can do. I think that was a Tim Ferriss thing, the 1 minute journal. You're just focusing on, it's 1 minute, doesn't take long. Anybody can do something for a minute. So you can get up and you can try that tool. I'm a big fan of getting up and moving, and not everybody can do that.
Right.
Some people, depending on their sleep habits and whatever, they tend to like to move in the middle of the day. Maybe it's in the lunchtime, or they want to move after, maybe work hours. Maybe they don't have a family that they got to get home to. They have some more time to maybe do that outside of work hours. I'm just a big fan of getting up and doing it in the morning.
Yeah.
There's so many hormonal benefits and mindset changes, and different levels of serotonin and dopamine, and we can get into the physiology of it. But if you just feel better, I mean, to me, it's kind of worth it.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned the term blackout. That's awesome. Like, if you can get to that point where you're going really hard, I mean, you don't even have to go that hard. Like, you can literally just get up and do a walk outside, and you're going to feel better.
So in the thing that I do that kind of puts me into that mode, like with walking, rucking, jogging, I think of I just keep saying the same saying over in my head, right? It's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and it's your steps, right? So I just think all I got to do is 3 steps: 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that pattern of just saying those numbers over and over again in my head kind of create that meditative state almost, where that's all I focus on.
There's a lot of people that think exercise is a form of meditation. It doesn't seem like maybe your standard that you would picture, like a Buddhist monk meditating. I think that's what people think meditation is. We've got the hands crossed.
Right.
There's no distractions, and we're diving into the mind. If you've never tried that, by the way, I did that in sports psychology class at Eastern Illinois.
Yeah.
Awesome. But it took me a solid 3 months to be able to do it.
Oh yeah.
Daily practice, because I really had a difficult time like turning my brain off to truly meditate.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really work for me. I think it's a great practice. I'm curious if anybody out there is doing meditation. But there's a bunch of forms of that too. There's a ton of apps out there, Yoga Nitra apps, listening to different sounds. So you're using this 1, 2, 3 kind of cadence, as you are walking. Do you ever find yourself doing like podcasts or just music or stuff like that while you're doing your go phase?
So yeah, I mean, like there's times where it's the workout in the gym, and it's heavy metal go,
Okay.
or it's loud music,
Okay.
whatever it might be, but it's loud and it kind of just it draws out. I'm not thinking about my day. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm thinking about how my body feels, range of motion on reps, like a lot of different things like that. But the music helps kind of pull that silence in to my head.
Right.
But I think that part of it, the go phase, is super important because it's what it does from a mental standpoint and also from like the hormonal standpoint in the body is it sets the tone that I've achieved something that's going to be good for my day. I've gone through something difficult or challenging. And so I've already made an achievement for the day.
Right.
I think they call that like the champion mindset. You do something in a positive way for yourself, and it sets that in motion.
Well, so there's the challenge, right? So if we're trying to figure out like what the challenge, of the conversation is, it's get up, figure out your morning routine, and if you don't have a go phase currently in your morning routine, add that in. So some of those elements would be, it could be a walk, it could be some form of a workout, it could be yoga, it could be, basically any movement. You could get up, and everybody was doing the push-up challenge for a while. Pull-up challenges, different versions of pull-ups and variations if you can't do a pull-up yet with bands or, something that doesn't cost or require you to actually like get out and go to a gym, which would be great. If you find a great gym, go do that. But you can get up, you can move. We've got the 1 minute workout by Dr. Gabala, the 1 million fit, legions know all about that one because it's literally 1 minute of exertion, 10 minutes of a total workout. So if you want a really great workout that you could do that has a challenge and also some recovery built in, look up Dr. Gabala's 1 minute workout. There's a free one for you. And if you want more questions about it, reach out, comment, we'll go through it for you. But, think about these things. Okay. So think about time, think about the way that you can maximize your time. And if you're not doing things that you should be doing, and that it's not something that should feel like a condescending conversation, you got to start to move out of that pattern. Okay. And that's where the discipline comes in. That's where we want to challenge you to like focus on that. How are you spending your time? And if it's scrolling, which is kind of the call to action here, like less social media, more time focused on yourself, more time focused on your family, more time focused on your finances, more time focused on your fitness, more time focused on your mental fitness. So that's going to be the challenge for today on the inaugural 1 million fit YouTube attack here. Other topics, again, we're going to be focused on those areas. So, as we develop what we're going to be doing on this channel, that's what you're going to see. That's what you're going to get. Of course, if you have topics that you want to talk about, comment in. That helps us out. So we understand what you're looking for, what's going to help you. Part of it is a service-based, thing with this patriotic effort to motivate 1 million people to become more fit. That doesn't necessarily mean just body fit, but we hope you are going to become more body fit.
Right, absolutely.
So, hey, take that, what it's worth. What do you got, Bob? You got anything you want to end on?
I mean, like I always say, what are you doing? What do you got? What do you got? What do you do, Bob?
Pretty easy. If you wake up every day and you ask yourself, what am I doing? What do I got? It's a great way to focus your day. Get a little fired up. Thanks for tuning in. If you get a chance, hit the subscription button. I don't know how that helps, but I know it does help. If you want to like it, that's also good too. And then, of course, comments. We're more interested in the comments. What do you want? What do you need? We're going to come every week, hopefully, with some topics for you to move forward, move your mission forward, and get a little bit more fired up. And we are
Out of the air.
Later, Bob.
See ya.
All right, Bob. I think we
Let's
did it.
go,
I think we did it, Bob.
Going live,
End it.
always live.
Are you sure you want to stop streaming?